Slope of a line. The vocabulary, slope. The slope m of a line is a ratio of the change in y, the rise, to the change in x, the run, between any 2 points. So we have x1, y1, and x2, y2 on the line. So m means slope. The variable m means slope, which is rise divided by run, which is the change in y divided by change in x. That's what the triangles mean. They mean change. And then that equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Now some of you are thinking, oh my gosh, my teacher spelled rise wrong. No, I did it on purpose. The rise is spelled with a y here because that tells you that it's the change in your y values, your up and down values. So that's why I spell rise with a y. All right, a positive slope means that it's increasing from left to right. A negative slope means that it's decreasing from left to right. All right, so we're going to find the slope of a line. We're going to describe the slope of the line, then find it. So letter A. This one is going to be positive. Just like when you're reading a book, you read from left to right. No, we're not talking about those Japanese graphic novels where you go backwards. We're reading from left to right. So then we're going to solve this. Our slope is going to be y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. You're going to want to memorize that equation. So go back and rewrite it over and over. This also represents the letter m. It is going to be expected that you know that the letter m is the slope. So we have the values of -5, -1, and 3, 4. So I'm going to label these x1, comma y1, x2, y2. You always want your 1's together and you always want your 2's together. I always label my first ordered pair as x1, y1. My second one is x2, y2. It's your preference. So then I'm going to plug in these values. y2, which is 4, minus y1, which is -1, divided by x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is -5. Well, when you see subtraction, add the opposite, you add the opposite. So this becomes 4 plus 1, which is 5, divided by 3 plus 5, which is 8. So that means that our slope is 5/8. All right, letter B. We're going to rewrite that equation again. The slope equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Again, you're going to have that memorized when you guys take that test. All right, so we have the values -1, 1, and 1, -2. I always go in and label what my points are. x1, y1, x2, y2. It's a really good habit to have, so that way it's not confusing on where you're getting the values. So then -2 minus 1 divided by x2, which is 1, minus -1, which is x1. So I'm going to add the opposite. I'm going to add the opposite. I'm left with -3 divided by 2. So my slope is -3/2. All right, on your own. Go ahead, pause the video, try those 3 problems, then come back and check it. Letter C. So I'm going to go over here, -2, 3, 3, 2, x1, y1, x2, y2. So slope equals not x. The slope equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So I'm going to plug my values in. 2 minus 3 divided by 3 minus -2. There's subtraction, so I'm going to add the opposite. I'm left with -1/5. So my slope is -1/5. Letter D. x1, y1, x2, y2. You notice this time I just took and labeled my points directly using the points that were already provided. You're allowed to do that. So the slope equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. The more you write this out for the equation for the slope, the easier it'll be to remember it. So then you have 1 minus negative 1 divided by 2 minus negative 4. There's subtractions. I'm going to add the opposite. You're left with 2/6. You can't leave it as 2/6 because you can simplify it. So your slope is going to equal 1/3. All right, letter E. Same thing. I'm going to go in and I'm going to label my points. x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, so the slope equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, which is negative 4 minus 1 divided by negative 5 minus negative 3. Adding the opposite, we are left with a negative 5 divided by negative 2, which is a positive 5/2. Okay, so let's move on to example number 2, finding the slope of a horizontal line. We're going to find the slope of the line provided. So negative 1, 5, 6, 5. x1, y1, x2, y2. 5 minus 5 divided by 6 minus negative 1. Add the opposite. You get 0 divided by 7 equals 0. So that's our slope. So slope equals 0. We did cover that in the last lesson, that anytime you have a horizontal line, the slope is going to be 0. If we bring back our prior knowledge about a vertical line, we know that it should be undefined, but let's go ahead and prove it. So I have x1, y1, x2, y2. 2 minus 6 divided by 4 minus 4. Add the opposite. We have negative 4 divided by 0. You can never divide anything by 0. That's not possible. So this means that this is undefined. Beautiful. All right, on your own. Go ahead, try this. Pause the camera. Pause the video. Come back. We're finding the slope of the line that passes through the given points. So x1, y1, x2, y2. M equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Again, the more you write it, the more you'll memorize it. Negative 2 minus negative 2 divided by 7 minus 1. Adding the opposite, we've got 0 divided by 6. This means 0 is our slope. All right, moving on to letter I. x1, y1, x2, y2. Let me just double check, make sure I'm on the right spot. Yep. Okay, we are going to go the slope 5 minus negative 3 divided by 3 minus 3. Adding the opposite, we've got 8 divided by 0. You can never divide by 0, so that means the answer is undefined. Excellent. Okay. Move on to example 4, finding slope from a table. The points in the table lie in a line. How can you find the slope of a line from a table? What is the slope? Well, this is the ordered pair 1, 2. Then this is 3, 5, 5, 8, and lastly we have 7, 11. So I'm going to pick any of these 2 points. They already say that this lies on a line, so therefore it doesn't matter which points we pick. I'm going to do 3, 5, and 5, 8. So here's x1, y1, x2, y2. You guys are more than welcome. You can go ahead and try another ordered pair. You're going to have the same exact answer no matter what. If you don't, something went wrong. So the slope equals 8 minus 5 divided by 5 minus 3. I'm going to add the opposite for all of these. 8 plus negative 5 is 3 divided by 5 plus negative 3, which is 2. So we have the slope of 3/2. If you took the largest and subtracted the smallest, you would have still resulted with the slope of 3/2. If you notice, every time I say slope for every time I see the letter M, I always use the word slope. I don't say M equals, I say slope equals. M and slope are the same thing. All right, for K, we have negative 3, 6, negative 2, 4, negative 1, 2, and 0, 0. Okay, I'm going to take the number on the very right and subtract it from the number on the very left just to show you that the choices do not matter. Feel free to try. Sorry about that. Feel free to try whichever one you would prefer. All right, so we're going to go x1, y1, x2, y2. Sorry, my x is a little wonky there. It's positive x, not a negative. Okay, so 0 minus 6 divided by 0 minus negative 3, adding the opposites. Negative 6 divided by 3 gives you a slope of negative 2. Technically, I need to put the slope equals. All right, so in summary, a positive slope increases from left to right. A negative slope decreases from left to right. A slope of 0 is a horizontal line, and an undefined slope is a vertical line. Let's add in there that this is going to be y equals some value. We'll just say that it's b for right now. And then the undefined slope is going to be x equals some value. We'll say it's a. All right, great job. Go start that homework.